Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I'm pleased to be here today. This is my first time at this event, and it's a wonderful format. And so, over the course of the next couple of days, I'll be meeting with a number of you, and then probably over a beer, a number more of you. To tell you a little bit about, there we go. There's some snapshots of our operation in Indonesia. We have a 55% and operated interest in a KSO, a production license in South Sumatra in Indonesia, and that's been a beautiful property for us that we've owned for about 2.5 years now, and we've been establishing ourselves and determining what the potential to grow a business in Indonesia is. Currently onshore South Sumatra, I can stand in front of you here today and say that that myself, our board, and Bass Oil is a conviction Indonesian play. While there are challenges in Indonesia, the kind of opportunities that I see in Indonesia is the likes of which I haven't seen for many years in many different jurisdictions. As a petroleum engineer with some 30-odd years experience, I'd stop counting now for obvious reasons, both in Australia and overseas. What we've achieved in the last year or so, and what we're going to achieve going forward, we'll just cover in this slide. We undertook a detailed geological and reservoir engineering modelling study over the last 18 months. That the results of that came in at the end of 2018, and we rewrote the reserve book at that time. Where we converted a very, very high percentage. I think it's 85% of our total reserves now are 1P reserves, which of course, as many of you would know, are a very high probability of recovery. So we're quite pleased with that outcome. We have 2 producing fields. One of them is quite underdeveloped, and I'll explain why in a moment. Without drilling, we produced record oil production for the property, which was discovered by Pertamina in 1993. In October last year, by doing production optimisation, which is a bit of my domain expertise with my team, we produced 850 barrels of average oil per day for the month of October, and we're still producing about 700 barrels a day now, with 2 or 3 of our wells in need of repair. So it's a nice property to be a holder of. We have a drilling program we're executing at the end of this year that will double production to the effective oil export limits. We anticipate to be producing about 1,400 barrels of oil a day towards the back end of this year, after we've drilled and completed and connected the Bunyan 5 well. As I said, we're focused on Indonesia. We're focused on building the relationships in Indonesia. The technical risk in Indonesia is low, and we've determined that the technical risk is a very heavy, the low technical risk is a very heavy counterbalance for country risk, bureaucracy in the country, and the like. That's a little bit of a summary of the property that we've got. More importantly is you can have a look at the monthly production profile through the back end of last year. At the middle of last year, we were dealing with some scale production issues. We got them under control. We will still suffer scale. It's just one of the side effects of operating oil properties of this nature in Indonesia. That's one of the reasons that you get a kick at this, because these properties need a little bit of love, and because of Pertamina's vast holdings, when some of these fields get more difficult, they move on to other properties and release properties like this to operators like us that are very pleased to have them. This is the business end of what we do and what we're gearing up to do. It's growth. We've set ourselves up, established ourselves with an operating team in Indonesia, in Jakarta and South Sumatra. We have a fully Indonesian crew through to the general manager of the properties, and our business development people. All in-country personnel are Indonesian, and I'm really proud of them. But this is how we are looking to grow. Starting from the bottom, from a bottom-up perspective, type 3 properties are essentially the unloved properties, like the property that we have demonstrated our capacity to manage over the last couple of years, and we call them type 3. So if you want to call it, for those of you that love pyramids, I don't like them particularly much, but that's the base of the pyramid if you want to call it the type 3. Type 2 is like every other conventional oil and gas company that looks to build a portfolio to grow. You need access to some exploration opportunities. Our target size for those opportunities is about 25% to 35% investment. Sometimes you need to grab a property 100% so that you can effect a sell down of a property that you think is prospective, but these are all considerations that we go through. Company transforming type properties. There are a number of properties. In fact, it's kind of interesting. This is partly what characterises Indonesia, and from an oil and gas perspective, is that I'm continually surprised by the number of people that have decent properties but just don't quite know how to manage them and get themselves into trouble. Whether that trouble means relinquishment of a permit or whether that means going into administration and receivership, there are a number of properties that are really high quality properties that are quite bankable, that we chase and we look for all the time, and we're on the back of 2 or 3 of them at the moment. So our business development effort over the last 12 months, we've screened over 18 properties. I'm sorry, forgive me. We've screened over 70 properties, of which we've got 10 or so that we focus in on. So it's all about, this will be lost on most of you, but those of you that have been in Australia and look for canned fish, there's a slogan with a rather large company, the John West Company, that provide canned fish, whether it be tuna or salmon, and their slogan is, it's the fish that John West reject that make John West the best. And that's why we are looking at, quite literally, just dozens of opportunities so that we can home in on the opportunities, A, that we can do, and B, that have the quality. Most of the rest of these slides, of which thankfully there are not that many, just go to back up the fact that Indonesia is a tremendous domain for oil and gas. There's just more oil and gas and infrastructure in Indonesia, particularly in the west, than you know what to do with. So you've got infrastructure, you've got properties, it's just a wonderful place to be in that regard. The other thing that's in fact, I'll just go back for a moment. If you have a look at South Sumatra, you look at discovered resources. You're right. You're seeing it right. That's 40-odd billion barrels of oil equivalent. So it's a rich place to be in that regard. So when you're looking at South Sumatra, and the example I'm picking out there is essentially, you can see down in the bottom right-hand corner the property that we have. It's in amongst a number of fields that are 1 to 300 million barrels of oil in place. Repsol made an eye-catching discovery that was a little bit the likes of Dorado, the Dorado discovery in Australia. You are still making discoveries that are significant world scale, 2 TCF gas discovery potential there. So you can make significant discoveries even in a domain that's quite well drilled and hosts a number of discoveries. This is the one that really attracts me because of my background as a petroleum engineer. Improved oil recovery as opposed to enhanced oil recovery. As I said, there's a lot of properties that get pretty tired pretty quickly. And they tend to be left behind. Pertamina don't have the resources, particularly human, technical, arguably even financial resources. And they let operators like us come in and pick up, like the property that we're running at the moment. Where I was working in the Cooper Basin at one time, 45% was a target recovery factor that I'd be used to. And we pick up this property, and about 15 to 20% of the oil in place was recovered, and the rest was left behind. I mean, that's an amazing opportunity for oil exploitationists like ourselves, and that's the IOR opportunity is quite remarkable. So, in summary, From our current properties, we can deliver growth. It's a low operating cost environment. I say less than $25 a barrel in that slide. At the moment, we're running at or less than $20 a barrel. So, there's a lot of the cash flow potential is significant. We've increased our reserves. We're looking to double production in the current year, and we're looking to build on the portfolio. Now, it goes without saying there's a secure jurisdiction. There's a supportive jurisdiction. But here's the key to success, and this is the end. This is how I'll end it. Relationships are the key to any business opportunity, any business in Indonesia. You build the relationships with the people that are trustworthy and honourable. You avoid the relationships with people whose goals don't align with your own. You will build a significant, tremendous business in Indonesia. Thank you very much.